the son and Jeanette who were driving over here, I saw they cleaned the sagebrush or the tumbleweeds or something off of that new shopping center on the Highway 14. It was all piled up on the bottom of the hill. I was thinking to myself, are they waiting for a brush fire to just burn it all up so they don't have to do anything with it? But I guess they were disposing of it later today. But that's that. But so Israel's weather is very, very key to understanding passages in the New Testament. You read this book about the grass that is here today and tomorrow is thrown in the furnace. What's that talking about? Why would you do that? Well, that's what happens. Moving away from the Bible a little bit, weather in the news. Weather in the news. Any questions about that as we kind of transition a little bit here? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. I probably spoke a little bit too fast. These sunspots have been observed. Yeah, you're right. Since Galileo was really the first to observe them and notice them. It was in 1648 where the French scientist, his name escapes me, was the first to really, or 1848, to really the first understand the cyclical nature of what they were doing and began to record them in that. They had been observed. You're right. They had been observed for centuries. They're just trying to figure, were they random? Were they what? He was the first one to kind of see cycles in seasonal relationships. Yeah, it's fascinating. We're in the middle right now of a almost unprecedented lack of solar activity. We're in the middle of virtually no sunspots for the last couple of years, which hasn't happened since about the turn of the century. It's very, very interesting. We'll talk about this with global warming in a bit. Some of the odd sorts of things that were done. Yeah. Regarding heating, heating by compression. Yeah. The degree centigrade is degree Fahrenheit. Degree Fahrenheit. In my calculation, I'm sure there's some degree centigrade. It's probably a centigrade, 1 degree for 100 meters or something, but meters. Anything else? Yeah.
Yeah, in your second statement there about groundwater, God is kind of hard to continuously. It's thundering with the ocean right here. All that evaporation seems like it ought to have a lot more moisture.
Yeah.
You can't say that the ocean, because it's cold, because look at the Olympic Peninsula, it's off the real cold ocean.
Yeah.
And it gets over 100 inches, 150 inches.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. There's actually a very, very simple explanation that nobody, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting, it's an interesting situation. I'll mention this a little bit. There's a picture I'm going to show you that you probably all get a chuckle about too. But there are people don't understand that in the environment that things are connected, and you just you have the law, what they call the law of unintended consequences. You can't just plow over millions of acres of forest and not expect that to have some kind of adverse effect somewhere else. Now, but we'll talk about that. Yeah, it's a good observation. Because the wind is what causes the oxygenation of the air, much like your fish tank. You have bubblers and things that are moving the water. The movement of the water on the top of your fish tank is what brings oxygen back down into the water. Air is the same way. If all of the air just stopped, all of the air would get stagnant and stale really, really quickly, and all of the stuff that we don't want to breathe would sink because it's heavier. We would all. It might take longer than a day, but it wouldn't take very long. Carbon dioxide. The fact that you have to have things. The wind has to be moving, has to be circulating, or it basically dies. It's like the blood in your body. The circulation is vital to the continuation of air. Or it begins to break down. Dr. Anderson probably has a more scientific explanation than that, but that's basically how it works. Yeah. Hi, Anna.
So, if you for the logic of the fact that the wind completely stops and it died, and that's not the end of Revelation yet, does it mean a complete stop?
Apparently not a complete stoppage, or the stoppage is not permanent at that point. It's just really bad for a while because it doesn't kill, but it kills an enormous number of people. You see, you read about a third of the population dies in that relation to that particular passage. Yeah. Anything else? Good. Well, weather in the news. This is moving away from the Bible a little bit to maybe things that affect your life a little bit more. What is El Nino and what does it mean? Well, El Nino is basically, El Nino Spanish means the little boy or little child. It is the warming of the surface water of the Pacific Ocean. And there is a converse phenomena called La Nina. They had to come up with a politically correct name. And so they came up with that, which is a cooling of the surface waters of the Pacific Ocean. Now, why is that important? Well, El Nino, when it occurs, when the surface waters of the Pacific Ocean, basically in a band roughly around California to Japan, when that area of water is warmer, it changes the climate dramatically. Basically, what it will do, it will make California, Southern California specifically, wetter and colder. But we will get a lot more rain in California when we have El Nino, but we'll get a lot less snow. It'll be cold, but not freezing like you would normally have. It also increases the amount of rain in the American Southwest, around Texas, into Florida. At the same time, when you have a strong El Nino, the Pacific Northwest, Washington, Oregon, Vancouver, British Columbia, will dry up. They will have far below average rain to almost none. The Northeast will generally have more rain and be colder and have more severe cold, and also the north of Mexico will get colder and get more snow. La Nina, on the other hand, is when the surface water of the Pacific get colder, Southern California gets no rain, essentially. The Pacific Northwest gets inundated. The Northern California will get much more rain. And the weather basically changes the weather all around. El Nino also has the other distinct advantage of basically it has some beneficial advantages besides Southern California getting rain. It typically eliminates and cuts down on tornado activity in the Midwest. It has the tendency to divert and cut hurricane activity in the Atlantic and the Gulf of Mexico. So it does have advantages. It's not all bad. It's just that typically what happens in Southern California is that all the rain comes at once. Interesting facts. Israel, the state of Israel, in their infrastructure is equipped to reclaim roughly 90% of the rainwater that falls in their land. What do you think the percentage in California is of our ability? What is the percentage of the ability in the state of California to reclaim rainwater? 13%. 13%. If you work at the seminary and you see the flood control channel that's right by the building when it's raining, I've seen water lapping up over the edges of that on really rainy times. All of that water is headed right to the Pacific Ocean, where it goes and runs into the ocean, yet the ocean is not filled. But it's why is it? And so that goes right into why is there seemingly always a drought in California? Well, one is infrastructure. There has not been a new reservoir. There has not been a reservoir of any significance built in the state of California since 1952.